Women over 40, are you standing in a new chapter of life and quietly wondering, who am I now? Maybe life looks fine from the outside. Maybe nothing has completely fallen apart. Maybe you are still showing up, still doing what needs to be done, still being the capable one, still being the one everyone thinks is okay. But inside, something feels different. Something feels quieter, heavier, unclear, and unfamiliar. And maybe you can't fully explain it yet. You just know you don't feel like yourself anymore. Or maybe the truth is you don't even know who yourself is anymore. I should be happy. So why do I feel so lost? If that question has been sitting quietly in your heart, I want you to take a breath with me. Because you are not broken, you are not ungrateful, you are not dramatic, and you are not failing at this stage of life. You may simply be in life transition. And life transitions can be confusing because they often ask us to release who we have been before we fully know who we're becoming. You haven't lost yourself. You may have outgrown your old identity, though. For years, you may have known who you were through your roles as a mother, a partner, a worker, a carer, an organizer, a peacekeeper, the reliable one, the strong one, the one who holds everything together. And there is beauty in those roles. There is love in those roles. There is devotion in those roles. But somewhere along the way, you may have become so good at being who everyone else needed that you slowly lost contact with what you needed. You may have learned to say, I'm fine, when you weren't, and you may have learned to silence your needs because everyone else felt more urgent. You may have learned to keep going when your body just wanted to rest. You may have learned to shrink your desires because they felt inconvenient, unrealistic, or even selfish. And after years of that, it can start to feel normal. Normal to feel tired, normal to feel disconnected, normal to feel unsure, normal to put yourself last, normal to not know what you want. But just because something has become familiar doesn't mean it is who you truly are. Sometimes we don't lose ourselves in one big dramatic moment. Sometimes we leave ourselves in tiny moments. Every time we say yes when our body says no, every time we choose peace outside of us and abandon peace inside of us. Every time we silence our truth to avoid conflict, every time we make everyone else's comfort more important than our own well-being, every time we tell ourselves, now is not the time for me. And then one day, life changes. The children need you less. The relationship shifts. The work changes. Your body starts asking for a different pace. Your priorities begin to move. The old routines don't hold the same meaning, and suddenly the question rises inside, where did I go? That question can feel painful, but it can also be sacred because it may be the first honest question you have asked yourself in a very long time. And honestly, and of course honesty, is often the doorway back. Now, this is not about fixing you. You are not a project. You are not a problem to be solved. You are not here to become a polished, perfect, always positive version of yourself either. You're here to return, to remember, to reconnect, to understand the patterns that have been running quietly underneath your life. Because so much of what we call personality is actually protection. So much of what we call just the way I am is actually old conditioning. So much of what we call being responsible is sometimes self-abandonment dressed up as being good. And when you start to see that with compassion, not judgment, something just begins to shift. You stop blaming yourself. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And you begin asking a different question. What happened in me that taught me to leave myself? That question is powerful because the moment you understand the pattern, you are no longer completely unconscious to it. And what becomes conscious can begin to change. The return to self is not a rush, it's a remembering. And maybe what you are remembering is this. You're allowed to have needs. You're allowed to have desires. You're allowed to want a life that feels meaningful. You're allowed to choose yourself without abandoning everyone else. You're allowed to grow beyond the roles that once gave you life structure. You are allowed to become a woman you have not met yet. And that can feel exciting. But it can also feel terrifying, because when you begin to return to yourself, you may notice all the places that you've been living on autopilot. The choices you made because it was easier. The boundaries you didn't set because you didn't want to upset anyone. The dreams you delayed because the timing never felt right. The truth you buried because you didn't know what it would change. This is why clarity can feel hard. Not because you don't have the wisdom, but because your wisdom has been buried under years of noise. Be realistic. Don't be selfish. Don't rock the boat. Don't disappoint anyone. Just be grateful. It's too late to change now. Those messages can shape a woman's life quietly. They can shape her relationships, her work, her money decisions, her health, her confidence, her emotional energy, her ability to ask for help, her willingness to dream again. And over time, the cost can be high. Not always in a dramatic way, but in the quiet cost of living disconnected from yourself. The cost of overthinking everything. The cost of staying in situations that drain you. The cost of saying yes when you mean no. The cost of waiting for permission. The cost of not trusting your own voice. The cost of living a life that looks okay but doesn't feel like yours. What returning to self can open for you is when you begin to return to yourself. Life does not necessarily change overnight, but your relationship with yourself begins to change, and that changes everything. You may begin to make decisions with more ease. You may begin to hear your yes and your no again. You may begin to stop explaining your needs to people who benefit from you not having any. You may begin to feel calmer in your body. You may begin to feel more honest in your relationships. You may begin to stop spending emotional energy maintaining versions of yourself that no longer fit. And slowly you begin to feel something return. Your spark, your clarity, your softness, your strength, your voice, your direction, your sense of possibility. You stop drifting and you begin choosing. You stop shrinking and you begin expanding. You stop waiting and begin listening. You stop performing okay and begin becoming honest. You stop building your future from old survival patterns. This is the deeper benefit of this work. It's not just about feeling better for a moment. It's about understanding yourself so you can create a life from awareness instead of autopilot. Because when you understand what has been shaping your behavior, you can begin to choose differently. And when you choose differently, your life begins to open. Your time can feel more intentional. Your energy can feel more protected. Your relationships can feel more truthful. Your next chapter can feel more aligned. Your decisions can become less expensive emotionally, energetically, and sometimes financially, because unclear identity often creates unclear choices, and unclear choices can cost years. Your future needs your truth, not your old patterns. And this is why I created this masterclass, Reset and Return to Self. It's part of the Human Reset program. This masterclass is for the woman who is ready to stop judging herself and begin understanding herself. It is for the woman who knows something needs to shift but doesn't want to force herself into another version of pressure. It is for the woman who is tired of saying, "I'm fine," when her heart knows there is more. It is for the woman who wants clarity, confidence, self-trust, and a deeper connection to who she is becoming. Inside this masterclass, I gently guide you through why you may feel disconnected from yourself during life transitions. You'll begin to see why feeling lost does not mean you have failed. It may mean your old identity is no longer large enough for the woman you are becoming. How old roles shape current behavior. You'll begin to recognize where motherhood, relationships, responsibility, people-pleasing, or survival patterns may still be making decisions for you. Where self-abandonment quietly begins, you learn how the pattern of leaving yourself can become automatic and how awareness helps you begin to return. Why clarity comes after reconnection. You'll see why you don't need to force the next step from an overwhelmed mind. You need to reconnect with the woman who knows what is true. The first step into the human reset pathway, you'll receive a grounded beginning point so you can start to understand yourself, your behavior, your identity, and your next chapter with more compassion and clarity. This is not about rushing you. This is not about fixing you. This is not about telling you who to be. It's about creating a safe space for you to hear yourself again. Click Learn More to reserve your seat. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Michelle Starr. I'm a human behavior and identity specialist, transformational facilitator, trainer and assessor, and creator of the Human Reset and Human Integration Pathway. For over 30 years, I have supported people through body work, emotional release, behavior patterns, inner child work, somatic awareness, identity work, and deep transformational healing. My work is heart-centered, practical, intuitive, embodied, and deeply human. I help women over 40 understand the unconscious behaviors, the emotional patterns, the self-abandonment cycles, and identity shifts that keep them feeling stuck, doubtful, disconnected, or directionless. Not so that they can judge themselves, but so they can finally meet themselves with compassion. Because when a woman understands herself, she stops fighting herself. And when she stops fighting herself, she can begin choosing her next chapter from a completely different place. From clarity, from confidence, from self-trust, and from truth, and from her own inner knowing. And why is this masterclass at such a low cost? Because I believe awareness should feel accessible. You deserve a place to begin. You deserve insight before pressure. You deserve to experience the first layer of this work and feel whether it speaks to you. And if it feels aligned, there will be an invitation to continue deeper into the human reset pathway. No pressure, no pretending, no need to have everything worked out before you arrive. Just come as you are. Bring the questions, bring the uncertainty, bring the tiredness, bring the hope, bring the part of you that still believes there is more, because there is. There is more clarity available to you. There is more confidence, there is more self-trust, there is more peace, there is more honesty, there is more direction, more life that actually feels like yours. And you don't have to find it by becoming someone else. You begin by returning to yourself. You are not lost. You are being invited home. Click Learn More to reserve your seat in the Reset and Return to Self Masterclass.